Good afternoon, everybody. So I wanted to do a video on a new camera that I picked up recently, and I had been using the Canon the SX720HS. It's a long zoom compact camera, and I got that after a trip to Alaska where the digital camera that I had really disappointed and let me down significantly. So anyway, so I got that camera and I've been doing more and more of these types of review videos and technology videos. I have another channel. It's a gun channel. It's Jeff Tack, and I also have another one where I do a little bit of vlogging, travel, concerts, things like that, and that's Jeff Rocks. If you're interested in those, I'll annotate them in the description below. But the more videos that I'm doing, the more I'm realizing that the equipment that I'm using matters as much as the content itself. So been looking for a better camera. The Canon has recently come out. They came out with I think it's the SX730 with a flip screen, and I was looking at getting that to upgrade the 720 that I had, and I've since sold the 720. So I was doing, I was hanging out at Best Buy, doing the compare and contrast and trying to figure out which camera to buy. And I kept flip-flopping back and forth between the Sony and the Canon. This is the DSC-HX80, and comparing that to the SX730HS, I decided to go with this one. And I chose this one for several reasons, of which I'll cover here shortly. But real quick, I just want to go over the specifications. I'm sure there's a ton of these videos out there, and since this is more of a philosophy video of why I chose this particular camera, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about the specifications for this camera, but I did want to cover them real quick. So it's got the Zeiss lens. It's got the T30X optical zoom lens for extra clear pictures, according to their website. It has an 18.2 megapixel Exmor R CMOS sensor. So you compare that to the Canon. The Canon sensor is a higher resolution sensor, but I don't see that matters much in this camera, and I'll show you some examples of some pictures I've taken, and judge for yourself if there's any declination in the this one was also $60 cheaper than the 730, and the dimensions are one of the biggest. The dimensions, obviously, the flip-up camera for selfies and for vlogging, etc., etc. But you've got a couple other features. So you've got the viewfinder, which does it matter? At times it can matter, and there have been times when I've tried to use the LCD display on the 720, you just couldn't see it. I mean, the brightness turned up all the way, you just can't see it. So having the option for a viewfinder at times could be, it could be a game changer for the type of filming that you're doing. For all the time, it doesn't really matter. They both have a pop-up flash. They both have a fairly decent zoom. The HS, the 720, the Canon, has a 40 times. This is only a 30 time, but that's still plenty far. And another benefit to this camera that this camera had over the Canon was it had the form factor, right? So this form factor on this little camera is noticeably smaller, and I'd say if I had to give it a percentage, I'd say probably in the neighborhood of 10 to 15% smaller in overall dimensions. And that may not sound like a whole bunch, but when you're trying to slide this in your pocket versus something that's 10 or 15, maybe even 20% larger, you're going to notice the difference, or at least I feel I would. So I opted for this one, given the fact that it was $60 cheaper. The video quality, the image quality was a little bit better. Did a lot of comparing and contrasting between the Canon and the Sony in the store. both seem like very capable cameras, and the fact that this was a little bit smaller, I decided to go with the Sony over the Canon. I think Canon, I know they have a very strong following in their DSLR line. I know the G7X and the G7X Mark II are both really good cameras, but I see Sony coming on strong, and their what is it, the 100 Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, and now the 5 series cameras have been getting a lot of attention in the vlogging communities. So their cameras are definitely no slouchers. They're good cameras. The focus capabilities on these cameras are pretty good. It has facial recognition, facial tracking, and something else that I kind of liked was I used the software that comes with these two cameras. The Canon uses a program called it's this right here. It's called the Camera Connect, and it was okay. It had some limitations. I think I can't remember some of the features that were lacking. I don't think you could zoom. There were some other things that I didn't like about it. Now, there's things about the Sony app that I don't like either, but it uses Play Memories Mobile. Some of the things that I don't like about it are they have features for certain cameras that aren't unlocked for all their cameras. I can see why they do that, but I think that they would definitely become brand leaders if they'd unlock some of those features. Like there's the hacker community has really started to hack the hell out of Canon cameras, which is nice, but you're having to download the firmware and load the firmware up on the Canon cameras to enable some of those features, and those are kind of cool. If you're into that kind of thing, if you just want the camera to work and you want it to work all the time, I think Sony and Canon both could definitely improve their apps and make the cameras more functional for the consumers. But they are what they are. But on the on the Sony rather, I'll say that on the Play Memories mobile app, it does give you the ability to zoom, play with the settings on the camera a little more. The Canon does let you adjust some of those settings as well. It just seems like it's more full featured on the Sony. So going over the camera real quick, and another thing that I have come to like a little bit about the Sony over the Canon, the Sony has these little on-screen kind of helper modes, and I like those. I'm not definitely I'm still a hobbyist. I'm enjoying the videography, the photography aspect. My kids are a little bit older, but I'm gonna have grandkids at some point, and I really want to get in. I'm older, I can afford more equipment, that kind of thing, and so I'd like to get into this as a hobby as I age. So the fact that it has these on-screen, kind of these helper modes that tell you what it is you're looking for what everybody's using manual settings on their cameras. Well, this gives you a little quick hint about how to use those settings: shutter priority, aperture priority, programmed auto. You can set settings and recall those. I kind of like this. If you're the intelligent auto, it will pick the best image settings for you. This one's Superior Auto takes multiple shots and it'll find the best one. These aren't the obviously that's how you do recording. This is another feature that Canon doesn't have. It didn't have a panorama, which I found kind of annoying. That's a pretty basic function now. Most phones are coming with it. My Androids had it for I think 3 iterations of the Samsung phone that I have. So the fact that it's not native on the camera was kind of disappointing. And I know that a lot of people do post-processing and they can stitch images together, etc., etc. But for the novice, for the entry level, this is the kind of thing that kind of really set it apart for me, and it was something that I gravitated towards. Yeah, I like it. not completely done with Canon. This camera here that I'm shooting on right now is a Canon. You know, it's a camcorder. You know, it's a great value. It's the HX700, I think, is what it is. Great camera. You know, it's the camcorder. I have no problem with Canon products in general. I think it just came down to between the 720, 730, or 720/730 and the Sony DSC-HX80. I went with this one. So anyway, that's a quick kind of overview, quick tutorial, philosophy, reason why I picked it. If you're in the, if you're stuck on the fence and you're looking at both of them, you know, really consider the fact that this one isn't that bad, and you're getting it for a lot less money, and it's smaller. So, you know, does the Canon offer you more features that are worth the extra cost and the size of the camera? That's for you to decide, but this is my decision. This is the direction I went. So anyway, I'll try to find some pictures and do some side-by-sides on the pictures, and you can gauge for yourself if the image quality and the video quality of the two cameras is significantly different enough to justify the other downsides that I listed earlier. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in technology videos, this is the channel for you. Definitely be doing more of these. You know, subscribe. Appreciate it, and you'll get to know when I do another one. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day, and see you.